And so although this is how things are temporarily for us beginning practitioners, it's how can we resolve that? So in the 37 Bodhisattva practices it says, appearances are one's own mind. So first that is a point we must resolve before we resolve emptiness. First we must resolve that appearances are mind, and thereafter we resolve that this mind itself is emptiness. And then another line that is also mentioned in the 37 practices, in the chapter of wisdom, there is a term that is called the non-conceptual wisdom that transcends the three spheres. That, if you think about that, you can also gain an understanding. So the first point we must resolve as beginning practitioners is that appearances are mind. That is something many people have doubts about, because we talk about pure lands and the existence of pure lands, and people have doubts about how they actually really exist. And we talk about hell realms, and people have doubts, how can they really exist? It's the word of the Buddha, and probably true, but how can we really know it exists? So people have doubts about that. And so first, we must resolve how appearances are a mind. Everything that appears and exists is mind. And so when we talk about the hell realms or the pure lands where we can go, whether it exists or not, the appearance of the hell realm or the appearance of a pure land depends on one's own mind. This teaches us that they are the projections of our own mind. This is how we need to see the appearances. And so how do these projections arise? First, we say that within this mind, all of samsara and nirvana is contained. So this mind is the basis of samsara and nirvana. That is the view. And to hear it like that may be a little bit difficult to understand. But to give an easier example, for example, when you go to sleep and you dream, you lie in your bed and you sleep. You fall asleep and you fall unconscious. Before you fall unconscious, you may have a dream. And in your dream, your mind creates the entire universe and sentient beings. It is fully the creation of your own mind. It is the awakening of the imprints laid in your own mind's stream. And in your dream, you engage in activities, you go different places, you meet people, but you are the only one who sees that. There is no one else who sees that. So you are creating the universe and sentient beings in your own mind. And then in the morning when you wake up, the dream is gone. You have awoken, and you say, this was last night's dream, it's unreal, it's empty. So you don't really believe in the reality of the dream. And it has no reality. And moreover, some people even believe in the reality of that. Then they wonder about their dreams, and they think like, I wonder what that dream means. I had a good sign in my dream, what does it mean? Or I had a terrible nightmare, does it mean something bad? Even people believe in the reality of dreams. But the Buddha said, even this lifetime is unreal. Even this lifetime is like a dream. All phenomena in samsara and nirvana are like a dream. And to say that this lifetime is like a dream, again, may be slightly difficult to understand because it seems so real. There actually is a self and there is other people. There is a universe of planets. There is beings everywhere. So it's hard to understand that this is like a dream. So how can we realize this lifetime like a dream? Before we are born into this life, when we are still the Bardo consciousness, before we enter the womb of our mothers, from arising from the ground arises ignorance. We do not see the nature of the mind. We believe in a self. And because we believe in a self, the thought of I has arisen. This I wants to be happy. So desire arises. And then we follow our karma. Whatever of the 6 afflictive emotions was the strongest will determine our future birth. If it is ignorance, it will be birth as an animal. If it is anger, in the hell realm. if it is pride as a god, if it is desire as a human, if it is mixed greed and desire as a hungry spirit. But in any case, the seeds of the 6 realms are contained within that mind, and the afflictive emotions. And these afflictive emotions are like magnets that pull whatever is the strongest. Whatever magnet is the strongest, they pull a certain perception towards it, and then that realm will become manifest before you, like a projection of your own mind. And then you're born into this life, and from the moment you're born into this life until the day you die, this entire lifetime is like the dream of a single night. So the moment you're born from your mother, first you're born, then you get sick, you age, and you die, and then the consciousness goes into the bardo state. When you awaken in the bardo, you awaken from the dream of this lifetime, and all the appearances of this lifetime will fade away, and none of it is present, everything is gone. And from that perspective, this lifetime really appears a dream. And then the different appearances of the bardo begin to manifest and are experienced by the four name aggregates. The 4 aggregates that are still left. We only have discarded the body. So when you think about that again and again, you will really understand how this lifetime really is just like a dream, and therefore how the mind has created appearances. So in this way you can gain an understanding. And also you can understand in this way how the mind has created the sentient beings within this universe. The outer universe is created by the collective karma of sentient beings, their collective habitual patterns. The place where we meet collectively is created by the collective karma. And also this world, we can understand, will come to an end as it is impermanent, a compounded phenomenon. So the entire universe and all sentient beings are created by the collective and the individual karma. In brief, they are created by that mind. And as it is said in the 37 practices, from the beginning, mind's nature is free from the extremes of elaboration. For example, if you have a TV projector, here you have your little projector box, and then you play the film, and the film is projected. You can see it over there on the wall. So here is the film, but you can see it over there. It's a projection. And so in the same way, here in our little box, we have stored our karma, our negative and positive karmas, our afflictive emotions, and over there they are projected, and that will become our experience. To some, the Pure Lands appear as a result of their practice of love and compassion. For example, there are some practitioners of Dzogchen who practice in the visionary appearances, and due to as a manifestation of loving kindness and compassion, the deities appear before them. And that is the appearance arising from your own mind. It is a projection of one's own mind. So from the beginning, mind's nature is free from the extremes of elaboration. Non-conceptuality means do not investigate this or that. Do not try to find it to be either this or that, existing or non-existing. If you try to find something existing, you will not find anything. Not even the slightest little atom, you will find nothing to hold on to. And if you try to find its non-existence, you will not find this either, because you are engaging in all the activities in samsara and nirvana. So there is no non-existence. Your nature is a vivid, clear, knowing capacity that is empty of self-nature. That is the one you must see, you must look at. And that can neither said to be existing nor non-existing. And do not be bothered by its existence or non-existence. Do not cling to anything that arises within it. Only abide without doing anything to it. Abide within the union of clarity and emptiness. And if thoughts arise, they will dissipate back into the mind, like waves on water. Then, when that stability is gained, you will not be attached to pleasure, and you will have no fear of suffering. If there is no attachment and no grasping at any concrete reality, the mind will not be obscured. You should contemplate what are the faults of grasping and what are the qualities of non-grasping. For example, if a person scolds you, immediately you normally get angry. Then when you have mindfulness, you will recognize that anger and you will think, this is anger, I should not get angry. And immediately the wave of anger will again dissipate. And if it dissipates, although it initially arose, it will not obscure your mind. So in that way, you overcome the grasping in your mind. But on the other hand, if you lack this awareness and someone scolds you, then you think, oh, how can this person say that to me? And already the I has arisen. And then you can't let go, and you keep thinking about it over and over again. Even if no one touches you or beats you, these words that you heard, you can't let go of them. They may have said that last year, and this year still you are thinking about it. Your mind becomes bound in a bondage. And that bondage, that clinging, creates samsara. So non-conceptuality means do not grasp at anything that arises. Do not grasp at the concrete reality of anything that arises. That means non-conceptuality. And that is what Jigten Sungen meant by the statement, apply yourself earnestly in non-conceptuality. So you must contemplate the qualities of non-grasping. And even if you were to insist trying to find anything to hold on to, you simply will not find actually anything to hold on to.
대니 가래리 생분내로 랑그 생분내로 딱히니 탈려되고 생나빠다 그랬지 내로 신이 랑이 이제다 신었더니 이양 생겼다도 시위고 신아 때는 이를 하나 콩토나 콩토하고 가자되야 썰류마저 난 샘마저 내가 점하다 그래. 오늘 랑아 되다 그래. 점하다 그래. 근데 이거 이제는 맞아봤더라. 내가 로버베트니 로버베트니 단지를 찍었더니 차이고 요래. 샤르모한테 다 말해. 그래갖고 좋잖아. 그래서 정말 열개 사람도 막 강차이 오나야. 내 남들도 생겨. 마디나 생겨 좀 내가. 대니치게 중진치만은 이름을 지자세라리 해서 중진이가 저기 말해야지.
And so Lord Jigten Sungen said, apply yourself in non-conceptuality. Do not grasp at any arisings. And so although self and others clearly appear, do not grasp at their true existence. And so what is the method not to grasp? How can we not grasp? In the 37 Bodhisattva practices, in that same verse, it says, so first it says, appearances are one's own mind. From the beginning, mind's nature is free from the extremes of elaboration. And then, knowing this, not to engage the mind in subject-object duality is the Bodhisattva's practice. So not engage the mind in subject-object duality, but allow the mind to abide like space, free from the extremes of eternalism or nihilism, free from any extremes of existence or non-existence. And if you know your own lack of true existence, you can also understand the lack of others' non-existence or existence. For example, someone gets angry at you. That other person's outer body lacks true existence, and also that person's inner mind lacks true existence. It just appears temporarily like an illusion. And the same is true for you. You lack true existence. From the very beginning, self and others are not really established. It just appears temporarily due to the grasping at a self. Due to this grasping, self and others appear, but these are also impermanent. So then, although outer objects appear, the inner mind does not grasp at the thoughts of desire or anger. And if there is no grasping, the mind will not be obscured. So not to engage the mind in subject-object duality. If you do not engage in subject-object duality, no matter what arises, your mind cannot be kept in bondage.
사자집이 따와보나? 대견들을 탑. 대면 사족선별 남편들을 탑. 빨리 담보봐 소탈 봐서나? 대견들을 탑더니 사지가 출입고 예태지동 랑을 봤으면 송 대래. 가자 시합 전백 동점을 뛰는데 유무관들을 탑. 타지도 많이 가래. 가자 찍게. 너도 제가 따와 그런 너도 찍게 너도 그거 말해. 네, 그냥 가게. 지정이 라고는 맞는 연구요래. 가는 강에서 그래들이 직접 봐야 미진절 집안 동대죠. 따와 직접 따와 또 어디 가서 이렇게 뉴무관들로 탑 대자도 있나? 런집에 가서 소탈하고 있나? 되게 듣고 요가 통당이요. 때는 유무관이 이시래 진짜 많고 이시래. 가는 거 요만 유무관 같아 있지라 가는 거 요만. 다 내가 뭐 그 유무관 가는 거 말이들 그 유무관 가는 유무관 아주 맞지라. 딱 거기들이 레사 유무관 무슨 동력 그래. 되는 내가 탑돼 소소소 송급이 동대래. 탑통 제가 찍바래. 너 탑 가나 뛰냐 탑통 유무 못해 네가 내가 차고 그래. 근데 너 탑도 가는 별로 소탈을 따들이나 탑에는 시당이 시당을 이봐 찍으라 차이잖아. 그것도 hindi 시당이 네 라인 소주면은 라인 시당 저거 마탈나 서로 떨기 배워져. 그래서 삼장지기 먹고 가지고 자세라니.
So the Buddha said, perfectly tame your own mind. And so what is to be tamed is the self-grasping and the afflictive emotions. And what tames it is wisdom and compassion. But then it is not that straightforward always. Not one method works for everyone. For example, if one has realized Mahamudra, there is no other method than that. That is the ultimate method. But then it doesn't work for everyone. For some, the practice of mindfulness of Mahamudra is the method. Then for others who follow the Bodhisattva path, there is again a method to overcome the afflictions. And for beginning practitioners, there is the Pratimoksha path, where again there is a method to overcome afflictions. The Buddha taught 84,000 different Dharma teachings, or the 3 levels of the path. And the purpose of giving many different teachings is in order to suit the mental capacities of individuals, of higher, middling, or lower mental capacity. According to that, there are different methods to overcome the afflictive emotions. So one method does not necessarily work for everyone. Not one method is not the ultimate method necessarily. If it tames one being, it does maybe not tame another being. For example, it is said, what is a medicine for an instantaneous realizer is poison for a gradual realizer. So someone who instantaneously realizes and has realized the view, the nature of mind, uses that view, this awareness, to overcome the afflictive emotions. For someone who gradually realizes, a practitioner of the pratimoksha vehicle, to such a practitioner this method becomes almost like a poison because he cannot use it to overcome the afflictions. For example, for an instantaneous realizer, we say, the afflictions actually are wisdom. Realizing that, no matter how many negative emotions arise, they will not harm one in any way. But if you say that to a beginning practitioner, the afflictive emotions, there is no harm in them, they will never overcome them. So there is not the same method for everyone. For an ordinary person, if one is told that there is nothing wrong with afflictive emotions, they can't harm, and then they give rise to ordinary afflictions, and they accumulate karma and again fall into the lower realms. So there must be the correct method according to the mental capacity. The ultimate result is always the same. It is to overcome the afflictive emotions. But then according to the mental capacity, we must apply different methods to overcome the afflictive emotions. In the 37 practices, for example, it says, if outer foes are destroyed while not subduing the enemy of one's own hatred, enemies will only increase. So that is more from like the pratimoksha, or the kind of a lower vehicular perspective, where we recognize the faults of the afflictive emotion, and we try to overcome it through awareness, through compassion.
방부 야 해당 가서는 보통 종지나 내 동포권이나 부대기 조간나 성나 바원이 나 신도 받는 조과 작은 조과잖아 보통 조과죠 대절 부분이란 거래 들이 니는 조과잖아 이해란 거래 들이 망도는 좋다 싶었던 도사가 자기 거래 야다 다른데 그래 대리 다 해당이 이바시에는 파마다고 저기 세상은 이바시 세상끼리 좀 다다른 동의를 왔지 야 세상끼리 좀 쉬는 야와를 보고 그래 야와를 남인이 제베지 남인이 제베 이거 뭐 찍라 해라 남인이 제베 다다 야와 무슨 도구만 나버리나 매철롱 또 사치별롱 야와 동의 식을 막고 그래 나가도 그 요리 나버리나 가라 메사 요리 메크츠기 요리 저그 요리 대체 도구만 하지 얘네들이 남의 데부터 세대 주 점중을 되고 놓고 있지. 점중을 되고 가래 놓고 요는 왜나 주 가시 남의 데부터 주남 점중을 되고 독적을 지어하는 거죠. 같이 독적 시당 지어보는 것 같이. 고세 빠지고 사만을 봤던 거를 영화도 관 참에서 이렇게 올라. 가시 것들이 영자 뭐를 통나 해당끼리 배 똥바 유람 똥바 몇개 도사매와 도바 톱바 어디 뒤에다가 되죠 용화 중중 세바 중중 용화 중중을 되어서 레직사는 되어 이제 접히고라 당원 남이지 되어 예 그리고 왕거 되어게 따다다 촉바작사를 제로 그러지 따 잡으면 촉바작사들 이제 물리적 토나 촉바작사 제로래 남이 되어 다 세바 중중 다 점중이 되어래 점중이 되어버리면 세바 중중 양초가 짜고 그래 파세고 그래 용화도 양철세고 그래 니밖에 싸다 제도 어디 점중이 니만 같이 내서 먹게 오 세상 진랑진 문에 자리다 세상지 세상 코랑 매발도 것도 다 자사만 게 세상을 갔어 다들 동민서들 한게 세상을 주셨어 这个动呢，就联系到哦，没见过爬动啊，出动了，他给爬的动的， 디칼 이거 털 입어서 나 동는 거 말이 다 사실이 좀 바꾸면 좋거든. 내가 못 받을 텐데 이 받대요. 야. 대리 집부터 그 사족선 깨라. 야. 아야락 쳐버려. 오 사족선 참아 파마리 맛이 동나 동. 너네 전에 아파 도와자는 사족선. 야, 저기 다 상하 봐야나. 오. 코 제당은 저 제당은 그 주요 말이야. 요 말이지. 너 로벌 말, 내 말들은 다 니가 깝깝이 잡으면 니가 폭죽을 올라와. 니가 맞아봤지. 눈반하기 잘다가 내가 딱 할라. 나도 저한테 깔려 가봐서 해. 나들라. 일라도 했더니 상하가 들어갔다. 탑승을 뛰니 늦은 유무만 좀 그러래. 대다고 보마. 영바탕지 싸와탕지 봐. 빠자. 너 톡고래. 유무반도 탑 뚱톡고래. 늦게 키기나 너 탑하가래. 좀디 팀만은 이름을 저세라니. 인소. 땡이 뭐 나저를 땡기라.
And so, for example, if you set the foe of anger or the enemy, and so, for example, if there's a little child that goes to school and is very angry, and first he's all courageous and thinks I'm the hero in the school, and then I can fight with anyone, and then he starts fighting with one child, and then two arise because they're fighting. And then they fight, and then four arise. So it gets more and more. And that is really how things actually also work in this world. So that is kind of like a beginning practitioner. And the beginning practitioner is introduced in the following way, just like a parent introduces their child that has gotten angry. So if you get angry and you act out on anger, after you die, the fruition will be to fall into the hell realm. And so, although we cannot see the hell realm with our eyes here, we can see a like suffering in this world. That, for example, the disasters of the elements where many people die, or the suffering of hungry spirits where there is no food and no water, and there is disasters, fires, and so forth. So although we don't see actually the realms, the hell or the hungry spirit realm, we see what is called the result corresponding to the cause. So first there is the actual fruitional result. That is a birth in the hell realm, for example. One is born in the hell realm. And then again, one is released from the hell realm, maybe as a poisonous snake that is very angry. And as a result corresponding to the cause, the snake is has this habit of harming others, so it continues to harm and wanting to bite others. And that is the activity similar to the cause. And then there is the experience similar to the cause, and that is one again will experience similar type of suffering of being killed in return. And then one takes birth as a human. And it gets over and over again. One experiences the same type of suffering. So again, one engages in negative conduct. Maybe a human being that is very angry and has a very angry face and engages in negative conduct. Nobody wants to be close to them. That is called the result corresponding to the cause. And that is twofold. The activity and the experience corresponding to the cause. So for each action, for each karma, there are four results. There is first the fruitional result, then there is the dominating result. That means the environment one is born in. For example, as a result of killing, one is born in a harsh environment where there's warfare, even as a human being in this world. And then there is the experience corresponding to the cause and the activity corresponding to the cause. Again, one will engage in like activities, and again, one will be killed in return. So when you think about karma in this way, then you will cultivate fear of hatred and anger, and will think that if I act out on anger, I will be born in the hell realms. So I must eliminate anger. My true enemy is anger. It gives me all the suffering I experience now. For example, if someone comes and beats me now in this lifetime, I must have done something to that person in a past lifetime, and now I am receiving that in return. Now I shall not fight back and practice patience. So this is how a beginning practitioner is trained. And then a bodhisattva on a bodhisattva path, it becomes more powerful. On that path, one sees all the beings as one's parents. And even if someone comes to beat you, you will not beat them back, because you perceive them all as your parents. And then as a practitioner of Vajrayana, there is no object to be angry at. Self and others do not exist. The anger is just a temporary occurrence. If you grasp, then it is like two cups on crushing together, and both are ruined. But if you just leave it be, then eventually it will exhaust itself naturally. You can just think, well, let them talk however much they want to talk, they just have lost their mind, and one time it's going to be over again. So the person keeps complaining, and then after he finishes, you can just ask them, so are you getting tired yet of complaining? So you can just leave it with that without grasping at all. So there's different methods to overcome the afflictive emotions. There's 3 different types of paths. But what is to be overcome is the same. It's the afflictive emotions. And all of you who are senior disciples, you should help the newer disciples and show them the individual methods to overcome the afflictive emotions, as there are many different methods. And so here in the 37 practices it was said, knowing this, not to engage the mind in subject-object duality is the Bodhisattva's practice. And so we have just used the example of anger, but you can apply the same principle onto any of the afflictive emotions.
Om Mani Padme Om Mani Padme Om Mani Padme. Just home.
Drink tea.
나가서지 사자시 먹고 와서 사자 집오시에 동디 사는 동배 이시 모이송 야는 코런도 받고 왔대 사는 동배 이시 송하더니 다 말하리 때 송이 말하리 밖에 통화성 송배 지나니 당보 맞대 주상지 주지만 통 주니 통 콜대 주상지 다리 쳤다 나와도 달랑그 샘송 어때는 콜대 주상지 무보통 세마가 바빠다 메봐 주니 동반이 남가다 와서 내려고 통스 대 주지만 주니 통스 댕댕이가 탈래 내봐야 주지만 통 주니 통지 남지만 통이 통지 그때 주탁을 강을 무슨 다다 강사 소소가 남지들 저 밖에도 남지들 그래도 그때 주탁이 예지 봐요 남지들에 가서 나버시가 남지들 남치들이 올라 딱게다 남치들 파까고 고대지가 남치들 로도 고대지가 샘들라 서 요즘 나바자 시내 이때는 대말 지네 이때는 저 때를 차단 똑바지 내서 이때 저러다 잘하더니 대주샤스 네 남치들이 걸 쳤다 이거나 남치 코랑 이시해 샤스 남치면 독해 이시해 샤스 이시 지금 가야를 이시는 이 통화 강성을 요 말했어. 타마 믿어야 요 말했어. 예내 유배 예시사 호감이 빨리 호열했지. 매주 따르려 말이지. 이 내록도 희송아. 호대의 규탕지. 남사하고 말이지. 예내 유배, 예시사, 당체 시배, 시시사, 좀. 예시대 동문대 고송 잖나? 다, 예시대 내록 또락 다 상기해. 자와 당체 예시롱도 찍지. 자, 예시바, 대성. 다 부신 가면 참지 꼬당신 가면 시경을 좀 두고 요래. 이시지 동지 다 사지 전부. 동지. 뭐 받쳐야 삶의 동부 이시로 있어. 이시지 뭐 동발해야지. 뭐 동부 동장 많이 봐. 남기살이 있어. 뭐 동부 이시, 남기살이 있어. 대란 그 선거 내로 첫 때는 강나 요리지. 다다 요다 요리지 말이야. 다다 무슨 고개를 빼는 이 촉각한데 이 되게 동부서는 생시 시피 시바데 시바들 쳤다 깨단 거더니 땅살하는 말이고 서로 파 열러 때는 사만 통고 요래. 뭐야 요래. 내지 내렸다. 내 제대는 날이 일이 고래 주던지 돈 열어봐. 이제 코로나 딱 깨더니 딱스 열려 말이야. 그 사실 나 사람 중에서 첫 깨더니 니 내놓기 이거는 녹디 이거는 해야 요 말이야. 저기 참고 차려대봐. 직장 통화하면 나 받아서 차놓고. 매일은 매밤만 이 고대 거지 저도 고대 사와서기 시방을 제일 거야. 제일 다 나는 나한테 말이지. 생각 싸움도 고시야게 말이지. 뒤 남이 생각 싸움도 따면 시야게 싸워는 그런 말이야. 사기 가가면 또 로의 주제 로대의 도움을 통해 호제도 요거 싸움에서 통킹이 시바든 호제도 요거 싸움 쫄렸다 감소스 봤으면 쫄는 거야 싸워요 말이지. 통킹 코랑이 마시나 뭐 대가랑을 하지 또 그걸 만미우고 하면 싸우는지 그럼 시바들 쳤다 할 때 하고 그러지. 시바들 쳤다 하나 저니 떨어봐서 쏘는 따사매바들 따고 그러지. 따사매바 강이라는 나발 시바 다다가 납시진 거고 따고 그러지. 그래 통이 매바든 통는 거래 해서 통이 매바들 강은 통이 매바 남카다를 그러지. 남카다는 남카다가 예바지 네 남카다를 해지 심히 시바지 살라면서 돼요. 다 되지. 또 사동수 욕도 콩 남카다를 하시지잖아. 이 랑게 통화 소화마도 많이 따라리 줘야 요. 저 사자시 뭐 책에 대 봐지. 대답을 해서 뒤들나 다 뒤감을 랑게 저 세로 딱겠다. 여기는 또 납치지 행지. 납치지게 서르게 남도도 하고 요래. 다 모바일나. 남도는 뭐지? 남도는 파면지 노신 남도는 디리지 십시 시바지 졌을 때 남도서도 대 갖고는 남바다로 차 놓고요. 남바다로 차 송아 대가랑 사자지 뭐. 가지는 대대사 통제. 그 남도는 통을 요래. 로마 잡으면 송이라. 뭐 통도 싸와는 요 말에. 뒤로 딱게 땅 버려야지.
So we have talked about the Mahamudra meditation, the meaning of Mahamudra, and it refers to seeing primordial awareness. You must recognize primordial awareness. That is the meaning of Mahamudra. You must recognize that which has been there from the beginning and that which encompasses everything. Nothing transcends it. It is the clear knowing primordial awareness. Milarepa explained 3 ways of seeing things. The first that he saw was, he said, I do not see objects, samsaric objects. I do not see phenomena, objects. I see the nature of these objects. So first, no matter how and how many phenomena in samsara appear in a dualistic manner, all appearances are one's own mind. Whatever appears lacks any inherent existence. We will not find even the slightest true existence in whatever appears, whatever phenomenon appears. They appear and they're empty of self-nature. We can see them, but they're empty of self-nature. Therefore, Milarepa said, I do not see ordinary objects, but I see the nature of these. I see their nature, the nature of phenomena. And so then, once there is no grasping to the reality of all the objects that appear, Milarepa secondly said, I do not see consciousness, I see primordial awareness. That awareness has created all phenomena in samsara and nirvana. It is that ordinary consciousness that anyone has. If you look into that consciousness, it is that consciousness that has created everything. All of samsara and nirvana. It is the basis of samsara and nirvana. It is ordinarily projected outward, and when it is projected outward, it creates samsara and nirvana. You must look inward and look into its nature. When this consciousness sees outer objects, it knows these objects, the individual forms. Then, because it sees, it knows them, it grasps at their reality and gives rise to thoughts of desire and anger and so forth. And this way, samsara perpetuates just like ripples on the water. If you turn inward and look into the nature of this consciousness, it is recognized as primordial awareness or wisdom. There is no ordinary samsaric consciousness. There is just primordial awareness. Primordial as it has been there at all times. There is no beginning point. And there is no end to it. It will never cease to be. So this primordial awareness, if you understand the nature of this awareness, then in just an instant you will understand all the phenomena in samsara and nirvana through understanding the primordial awareness. It is taught within the expanse of primordial awareness, all the Buddhas are one. All the Buddhas are contained. And that is the expanse from which the deities and the Pure Lands arise, the wisdom beings arise. The Pure Lands and deities are created by this awareness. And this awareness is Mahamudra. When you look at its nature, when you see its essence, it is empty awareness. When you see its nature is clear awareness. So its essence is empty, its nature is clarity. And it is here in this very moment. It can be seen at any time. For example, there is a cup of water and you want to drink it. So you think, first of all, you think this is my cup, and then you think, I want to drink from this cup. So there is an awareness that knows things. There is a clear knowing awareness that cognizes. And that is the one that you must look into. That is the one that sees all the different objects and knows all the different objects. It is the one that gives commands. You should look here, you should do this or do that. It is the one that perceives self and perceives others. That awareness you must look at. And when you look at it, there is nothing to be seen, like space. The Buddha called it inexpressible, beyond word and thought. You cannot say that it exists, as you will not find even an atom's worth of existence. It does not exist as a material thing. It abides like space. Neither can you say it doesn't exist because it performs all these activities in samsara and nirvana. It is a nature that cannot be expressed by words or thoughts. It cannot be known through the intellect. If you think about it, you will never figure it out. In the Ganges Mahamudra it is said, that which transcends the intellect cannot be explained or realized by means of the intellect. It is something that you must directly perceive, you must directly experience, that awareness. And it is that knowing, that seeing awareness, that sees all the things. And if you were to try to find it, you could circumambulate the three planes of existence, you would not find it. Because it is the one who is looking for itself. It is that knowing awareness that is looking for something to be seen. That you must see. There is only this one awareness to be seen. It is like a butter lamp that is self-illuminating. It doesn't illuminate anything else but itself. So if you view it in that way, it may be easier to understand. Also, Tilopa said, you must look at that which cannot be looked at. And that is the consciousness, the essence of the consciousness. And when you do that, he said, you will see that which cannot be seen. That which cannot be seen is like space. It cannot be seen. But there is an awareness that knows this nature is like space. There's an awareness that knows the space-like nature. That awareness is always there. That awareness is the union of emptiness, and clear awareness. It is something that you can only experience yourself. It cannot be expressed by words. Mahamudra is beyond the realm of words. It is something that you can only see if you look inside your own nature over and over again. It is that awareness that recognizes in the beginning all the different thoughts that appear, that knows all the objects. It is that knowing capacity. It is the awareness that knows. That, and if you look at that awareness, it becomes like space. And that is Mahamudra. And it can be seen at any moment, right in this moment. In the 7 verses of supplication to Tara, it says, it is not a thing that can be seen. There is nothing to be seen whatsoever. So that unseen nature that you must directly observe.
다뭐 도는 되지 다지 생리대로 때 남파다고 징하나 될 줄도 맞았네 징하는 것들이 라블라자 마치 빠지라 너도 어디서 만나와 징하나 자 소마 족바 라마서 소마지는 오 뒤집도 똑바로 많이가 따다 씹어 소마 족바지는다 뒤들을 옆으로 가면 개고가 그렇게 뒤들어 야쪽으로 라마들 따지 라마부 요거는 남 따고서는 좀 봐야 개고 맞죠 라마 때서 야나 들이 라인게 성대로 라그랑 하고 라그랑 하고는 들이 희지야 요래 라마를 무치 보니까 라인가 하고 요래 내다 보면 딱지 딱지 있지는 오 다 생대로 문에지 너또 탑재다 잡아 시바스도 남카다를 있었네 다 생대로 남카다를 따지 띠띠띠가 하고 윤통통을 하고 요래 대신에 오다 남시만 보고 이시 통지 이 이시기마다 얘는 요거 예시사 탑재시게 시사도 다른 만에 주말에 다들 같이 버려 양자시나 조고 버려 대 통통 다 말하니까 오 생기 탐지 샘도 요리지 생기 탐지라 이렇게 동물 탐지 샘도 요리지 오늘 뒤에서는 생기 문에서 싸우는 것도 다 생기만 본 사지의 통지 말하니까 생기 탐지 사지의 통지 내 생기가 통구요 어떤 생기만 본 사지의 통지 다 말하니까 도와서 아뭐 주기만 본 주니 통 받는 남시만 통 이시 통 그래 생기만 본 사지의 통 생기 탐지 사지들이 하고 그래 대다올 때 홍나양 홍이 마법을 통거요. 홍나 단지 뒤에서 보고 강성대 셈 똑바로 가와란 그 셈. 통이 똑바로 맵지 매지. 다들 공부요. 똑바로 뒤들 대다 그래. 나또 다녀 봤지나.
So Milarepa said, I do not see consciousness, I see primordial awareness. That is, if you realize the nature of your mind, you just see primordial awareness. There is no ordinary consciousness. And so how can we see this awareness? Do not grasp at anything. Do not grasp at the thoughts pertaining to the past. The past is over and it has no essence. Do not think about the future, what will happen, because it will go according to the law of karma. There is no benefit in thinking about the future. You must see the nature of the mind as it is in this moment. All that is necessary is to see the nature of the mind now, without pursuing the thoughts of the three times of past, present, and future. Mind only must observe itself without pursuing anything. And Milarepa said, in the beginning, when mind observes itself, you will see many thoughts, just like there are dust particles in a ray of sun. Due to our delusory habitual patterns, we perceive many different thoughts. But then there is an awareness that sees them all. And that is the awareness that you must look into. The thoughts come and go. The awareness is that which is always there. It always abides unchangingly. For example, in an ocean, you have different animals that swim through the ocean, and they come and go, but the ocean always stays the way it is. It never goes anywhere. It always stays the way it is. Just as it is said in the 37 practices, the nature of the mind is like space, beyond coming and beyond going. Or Chicken Songen had said, the mind itself is like open space. And within space there is no coming and no going. It is ever unchanging. When you first see this nature, it will actually become like space. First you must understand not the that the nature of the mind neither comes nor goes. And so then where is this nature that doesn't come and go? It is the basis of all appearance, the mirror-like wisdom within which various arisings appear, thoughts arise. But these thoughts are impermanent. They come and they go. The nature of the mind, this awareness, the basis of all appearances, that it doesn't move. It never comes and goes. That is the awareness that you must recognize. It is not the thoughts, but it is the awareness. And when this awareness does not grasp at thoughts, it abides like space. When one thought arises and you grasp at this thought, in that instant already you have lost your awareness, and again the mind freezes like an ice block. So therefore the instruction is do not grasp. Non-conceptuality means not to grasp. And when we rest within the nature, space-like nature of the mind, free from grasping, you must allow your mind to settle in its natural state, free from mental fabrication. That is not to follow along whatever arises, only to rest within this nature. There are three terms that describe that. One is called freshness, secondly release, and thirdly settling in the natural state. So first, freshness means to observe the awareness as it is right now, without pursuing any thought of the three times. Release is to just relax, because there's nothing to be done in this nature. And settle in the natural state is to allow the mind to settle without any need to do anything whatsoever. There's no tightness about it. I must see it, I must do it, for example. You just abide naturally. And through abiding naturally, awareness will see itself. And you will gain a trust when you see it. Someone who has cultivated great devotion to the Guru will naturally know this nature. A beginning practitioner, when they meditate on the nature of their mind, first they must recognize the awareness that sees all the arising thoughts. And if you do not grasp at the thoughts that appear, mind abides like space that is pervaded by clarity, clear awareness. So in just a short instant, you can glimpse this nature. Anyone can see this nature. And that is primordial awareness. Therefore, Milarepa said, I do not see consciousness, but primordial awareness. Primordial awareness is a very significant term that I've explained before, but it is very important. So it means that which has been primordial as it has been there since the beginning, and the awareness as it knows all things. It is all-knowing awareness. So Milarepa then continued. We said there are three things that he saw. And the third thing was, I do not see sentient beings, I just see Buddhas. And that is because all sentient beings have a mind, whether they have body or not, they have a mind, and that mind is Buddha nature. So what Milarepa sees is Buddha nature. And from that perspective, there is actually no sentient being. They are just Buddhas. So these are the three things that Milarepa saw. He said, first, I do not see various objects. I see the nature of phenomena. Then I do not see consciousness. I see primordial awareness. And I do not see sentient beings. I only see Buddhas. So when you see it, however, it is not done with just seeing it. Many people see it. Like in this prayer, the 7 verses of supplication to Tara, it says, those who, having seen the natural mind, so difficult to comprehend, do not habituate it, So although we have seen it, we have not habituated. So it is easier to see it, but then we also must habituate it. We must continue to abide within what we had seen.
그래서 딱 기타는 홍미 공부를 막 공부지 다다 족지에서나 남도를 왜 짧은 거래 니몽을 왜 짧은 거 저도 공 접감이 세번내로 홍 에서 때마 타거나 이 쫄라고 감이 니몽과 내와다 동에 나서 초와 차고 딱공 접이 합도 남도도 니몽과 남 태우나 이 독해 시바 대를 잘해서 남도다 유무관 태우고감이 시작되더니 시작된 유무관이 통나더니 뒤봤더니 시작된 유무관이 봤더니 다시 봐서 뒤만 양시 봐서 요거 뒤따라서 또 손이 가다가 오 가지고 고마워 저는 유무관한테 미나리지 오 시작된 내 따라서 뭔가 부신다고 그래서 뱀이 오래 대사들이 새로 내로 돌이 용기다 쌈짐을 잡아래. 고치는 진압자게 쑥니. 세법 세스토 봐. 우리가 명남선지. 듣고 진압자를 되게. 내로 돌아 주바 공는 매지. 새로 내로 돌도 나좀 개발 초를 있어. 말하니 밖에 쑥니. 내로 돌고 바로 시작사와 로는 매지. 사지 종지지. 시작도 바로도 선발 설에 사지 좀 니지래. 오. 걔는 시작도 바로도 선발 가면 세부 내록도 오라고 그랬어. 데이터가 더니 용진 부서 족과 이열에. 데이터는 사자 접어 데이터가 더니 접종. 라게 소비면 아니. 고속 남발만 또 시작. 탑당 뒤지고 고속만 또 빼야지. 시작도 딱 강요리. 탑당 뒤지기 책정불이. 내는 또보다 좀 무시양 작은 요 말이, 또 다양 고요 말이지. 가면, 이니 쌍흥지 치고, 제요리. 내는 마도바 탐지라. 내는 마도바 생기, 쇠나 수고이나 등해리고, 오나 등해리, 추바이나 등해리. 세부 내는 또서 좀, 빵고이나 지보래. 수고이나 지보래, 빵고이나 지보래, 추바이나 지보래, 가드 송나. 욕지 빠져서 가양기도 취지도 주세지. 오, 취지 시성을 가지지를 쪄버렸어. 라긴 사람들 종강을 내죠. 빼져버렸어. 다 종강을 내져버렸어. 사만하게 내려와요. 내가 다 쪄버 차기로 해. 이제 내려보나. 어떻게 말해. 이 사자 쪄버더니, 럽송. 똑바로 공돌이지. 유무가 가볍게 나고 말이야. 공 잡아가는 게 유문 앞에 나오고 말이야.
And so once we have seen the nature of the mind, we also must habituate that which we have seen. And so in the Dzogchen practice, it is said that habituation is that when thoughts appear, thoughts become the enhancement or the exercise of awareness. It increases awareness. So we always must habituate at any time. And eventually we will gain stability through habituation. So in any kind of activity that we engage in, whatever we experience when emotions and thoughts, happiness and suffering arise, we must habituate. We must practice, especially when we encounter afflictive emotions and thoughts. That is when we must apply awareness that recognizes them. And that knowing awareness disperses thoughts upon recognition. And when they dissipate, what is left is clear knowing awareness. Great masters of the past, the great Kagyu masters, have said the afflictions are like medicine, or the awareness is like fire, and the afflictions are like wood. When you realize the nature of the mind, it is an inconceivable quality. A great master in Tibet was the omniscient Lord Longchen Rabcham, and he was one of the 3 emanations of Manjushri in Tibet. And he said, there is no higher learning than to realize the nature of your mind. That is the supreme accomplishment. And also Milarepa said, apart from realizing the nature of your mind, there is no other perfection of wisdom than that. The perfection of wisdom, that is the Buddha. What is that? It is the realization of the nature of mind. There are inconceivable qualities coming from that. So that is the practice of Mahamudra, and in the 37 Bodhisattva practices, that was the verse number 29. 30. It says, cultivating skillful means with the wisdom that does not discriminate among the 3 spheres. So skillful means also is actually a very significant word here, because what is the sign of accomplishment? The sign of having realized Mahamudra. It's not so much clairvoyant powers or any other miracles or signs of accomplishment. It is that skillful means. And skillful means here refers to love and compassion, an altruistic mind. Compassion for any sentient being who has not realized the nature of their mind. Anyone who has not realized the nature of their mind suffers, no matter what other circumstance they are in. Whether they are rich, they suffer. If they are poor, they suffer. If they are a Dharma practitioner, they suffer, if they have not realized the nature of their mind. Whenever they have realized the nature of their mind, no matter what circumstance they're in, whether they are a beggar or rich, they will always be happy. But whoever has not seen the nature of the mind suffers. Dzogchen Patu Rinpoche also said, if you truly understand the Dharma, you are always happy. For example, when we were in prison, the old lamas in prison, we were always happy. Actually, we felt like retreatants in that kind of circumstance. Always joyful. And that is due to understanding the nature of the mind. So that completes the instructions on Mahamudra. And so the essence of that also is that we must train, that is, we must habituate in overcoming each and every affliction. Just to leave it with having seen or known it will not be of any benefit.
Mahamudra geta je pe je so geta ona je Mahamudra je lokal Mahamudra je rupa chin je geta se lo le hoa chin ji geta laya thola raya me la kong kong de pe yo le te ji ji kin bo ji ke yin tho ni hoa ji ji so wa
Then the fifth point of this fivefold path is dedication. And generally dedication of the roots of virtue is the antidote to self-grasping. And there is 2 types of dedication. There is the dedication in the context of dualistic grasping to self and others. And in that context we dedicate the virtues for the benefit of others. And then the second type is from the perspective of having realized the inseparable union of self and others, where one simply rests within the view, the nature of the mind, and that is called the dedication that is pure of the 3 spheres. Dedication is important because there is 4 causes that will exhaust our merit if we do not dedicate. And so the first cause is having pride in one's virtue. Secondly is not to dedicate. Thirdly is a corrupt dedication. And fourth is to regret one's virtuous deed. If we properly dedicate our roots of virtue, we will never lose them, and moreover, they will perpetuate. And now I request Ken Rinpoche, please to lead the abbreviated English dedication.